everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan. I am coming to you live from Skyline Park in Brookline, Massachusetts, here to bring you some high school girls soccer action between the hosting Brookline High School Warriors and the visiting Natick High School Redhawks. These two teams playing for the second time this season after a weather delay pushed back the game about a week and a half, actually. And of course, this will be the second game of the inaugural Route 9 Cup, introduced by Brookline head coach Robert Sprague this year. Nice little trophy to play for in a year where the postseason's not going to happen due to COVID-19. Last time these two teams played, they played out at Natick's place, and the Redhawks came away with the win at home, 1-0, courtesy of an own goal by the Brookline defense that was deflected off a long free kick by Kira Tucker, who was credited with Kira Hacker, that is, who was credited with the goal. Teams are getting ready to take the field. Brookline won the opening toss and chose to play from the right side of the field. It's a rather gusty day here at Skyline, as it is prone to be sometimes. And that can, as we've seen in past games, that can create quite an advantage for the team that's playing with the wind behind them. So we'll see how these two teams play. We'll see how the wind factors in. Of course, we've got our standard 4 20-minute quarters, which is only standard in a year like 2020. The Redhawks in white jerseys will be playing from my left to start this off. The Warriors playing in blue will start from my right. And the Warriors will seem to be playing with the wind at their backs for this first quarter. So you can understand them choosing the direction after winning the opening coin toss. They'll see if they can get some early momentum. Once again, it's Talia Thompson in goal for Brookline and Allison Jeter in goal for Natick. At the center, number 3, Zoe Graves holding the ball for Natick, getting ready to get this one underway. Both teams lined up, now just waiting for the opening whistle. There it is, and we're underway. It's rolled back to number 2, Holly Browning. She boots it into the air, and it catches that headwind. A couple of deflections battling for the ball. It's tracked down by number 16, Briar Grady. She sends a retreating pass that rolls a little wide and goes all the way back to number 17, Abby Beagle. She tries to send a pass along the far sideline, but it goes out of bounds, and that'll be Brookline ball. Brookline with the inbound pass. They're now trying to work it along the far sideline. They run into some traffic, and it's a foul call against Natick. Samantha Friedman, the ball carrier, drawing the foul there. And so now Brookline will have the free kick. Looks like it's going to be a direct kick taken by Zoe Fagnan, and her kick is immediately deflected out of bounds by number 11, Michaela Henderson. And now an inbounds kick. Fagnan kicks it over to Friedman. Friedman now dribbling. Tries a centering pass. It's deflected away, and Natick takes the ball away. It's passed ahead to Zoe Graves. Graves turns around, sends one down the far sideline. It's being chased. Natick's starting to get an opening here, but it's taken away by the Brookline defense. Kicked back to Lindsay Mahoney, who boots it along the far side and out of bounds. Some nice defense on the back end by Caroline Wolf and Zoe Fagnan on the far side to keep that attack under control. Natick now setting up with the inbounds kick just inside the Brookline end. It's gently rolled in, now booted up in the air. Catches the wind a bit. Awkward bounce. Holly Browning trying to keep it in bounds, battling against Fagnan. Fagnan gets the ball away, turns around and boots it upfield. Gets it to Samantha Friedman. Friedman manages to fight through one defender. Can't get away from a second one, though. She boxes out and lets the ball roll out of bounds. Some nice play there by the Redhawks. Natick controlling the ball still on the far sideline. Booted into the air after the inbounds kick. Deflected, now going into open space, and it's tracked down by Samantha Friedman. Friedman tries a centering kick, deflected by Browning, but Friedman recovers, now sends another kick out for Hope Leshley. Leshley battling for the ball and has it taken away by Lily Monago. Monago dribbling with some space, sends a pass over to Browning. Holly Browning takes the shot and harmlessly bounces into the hands of Talia Thompson. Thompson rolls it over to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney dribbling with it. Turns around, sends a pass across the way over to Caroline Wolf. Wolf dribbling with it, sends a pass towards the middle. It's deflected away by Natick, deflected into the box. Caroline Wolf with a nice kick over her own head, and out of the box as Lindsay Mahoney boots it away. It finds Gianna Pentland. Pentland dribbling with it, hesitates a bit, passes out to the far end to Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan fakes out a defender into a slide tackle that missed completely. She dribbles into some space, passes it ahead to Friedman. Friedman has it across midfield, sends a pass down the far sideline looking for Frankel. Frankel's got some space to work. She's got the edge, centering kick, and deflected out by the Natick defense. Being chased down by a couple of players. The loose ball is kicked away and kicked ahead to Natick. Natick trying to work it along the far side. I believe that was number 18, Eliza Campana, who was trying to work with it, but it gets deflected out of bounds. It'll be Natick ball. Nice attack chance by Brookline, but great final stand at the last line of defense by the Redhawks as they now get the inbounds kick. They're working the clear along the far side. Couple passes, now dribbling in some space. Passes sent ahead to Graves. Graves being covered by Wolf, and I think they're going to call the foul on Wolf there. A little too aggressive in her coverage of number 3, Zoe Graves. So it'll be a free kick for Natick. Looks like this will be taken by number 10, Kira Hacker. Again, the lone goal scorer of these two teams' previous matchup. Winds up, the direct kick, flying into the air, bounces over. Everybody goes towards the box, but Talia Thompson chases it down and catches it. She throws it back into the field of play, aiming for Samantha Friedman along the far side. Friedman corrals it, sends a pass ahead for Frankel. Frankel controls it, turns around, face-to-face with a defender, and it's poked away by Beagle. And Beagle sends it ahead, looking for number 11, Michaela Henderson. Henderson with a centering pass to Browning, then back out to Henderson. Henderson dribbling with it, being chased down by Melanie Chernin. She manages to spin around and get it away to Briar Grady. Grady turns around, sends a retreating pass back to Lily Monago. Monago sends a pass along the far side, but it's intercepted by Mila Seifert. Seifert dribbles, tries to pass, and that one's intercepted by Grady. Grady sends a pass back to Monago. Pass back ahead, intercepted again by Seifert. Seifert battling for the ball. Gets taken away, and then a centering pass to Hacker. Hacker sends it ahead to Graves. Graves trying to pass it out for Browning. Browning sending it out along the far side for Campana. Campana tracks it down. One-on-one against Fagnan. An attempted centering pass goes straight to Hope Leshley. She boots it off the side of her leg into the air. Tracked down by Chernin. Passed back to Fagnan. Passed ahead to Frankel. Frankel taps it out to Friedman along the far side. Friedman now dribbling with it. Passes it back ahead to Frankel. And it's immediately taken away from Frankel by the Natick defense. And they start moving the ball again, but their pass is intercepted by Fagnan. Fagnan now working with it. Passes it to the center to Chernin. Chernin sends it back to Mahoney. Mahoney passes it back ahead to Chernin. Chernin now dribbling with it. Being chased by a defender. Sends it out to the near side. Over to Seifert. Seifert controlling it. Passes it ahead to Gianna Pentland. Pentland dribbles in retreat. Passes it all the way back to Caroline Wolf. Wolf dribbling with some space to work. Sends a pass ahead. And that gets away from everybody and is being chased down by the Natick defense and passed back to goalkeeper Allison Jeter. Jeter boots it into the air, and Natick continues to push the ball ahead, but now it's being chased down by Fagnan, but she just lets it go out of bounds. So Brookline will have the inbounds kick. We are scoreless here in the first period. It's kicked in to Hope Leshley. Leshley kicks it back to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney dribbling with it. Sends it out to Seifert along the near sideline. Seifert dribbling with it. Passes it to Leshley. Leshley sends it back to Mahoney. Brookline patiently looking for their opening. Mahoney sends a kick into space. It's deflected by Grady, but goes back to Wolf. Caroline Wolf dribbling with it. Now sends a pass ahead to Chernin. Chernin almost lost it, but a nice move to keep control of the ball. Dribbles, tries to send a pass, deflected a couple times, but winds up at the foot of Gianna Pentland. Lucky bounce there for Brookline as Pentland tries to send a pass, but it's intercepted by Natick. And now they start to work it along the far side. A centering pass intended for Hacker. Hacker tried to kick it, deflected. Natick still trying to clear it. Now they send the ball ahead out to Campana, but it's wide and out of bounds. We'll see which way the possession is pointed. Looks like it's going to be Natick ball. So Natick will have the inbounds kick right at midfield on the far side. It's rolled in, kicked into space, collected by Holly Browning. Browning dribble with it. She boots it towards the center, goes right to the foot of Mila Seifert, and she kicks it ahead to Hope Leshley. Leshley turns around, sends a pass out to the far side for Samantha Friedman. Friedman kicks it across midfield. It rolls down the field. It's being chased by Abby Beagle. Looks like Beagle's just going to let that ball go out of bounds. So that'll be Natick ball. It's rolled inbounds. Beagle boots it into space. It goes to Briar Grady. Grady dribbling with it, but she has it taken away by Melanie Chernin deep in the Brookline end. Chernin sends a pass ahead for Gianna Pentland. It gets kicked away by a Natick defender, and it'll go out of bounds. Heads up play by one of the Natick defenders there. I think that was number 6, Emily Bubonovich, who came up with a nice play there as Melanie Chernin came up with a nice attack zone steal and tried to send a through pass to Pentland, just deflected away by Bubonovich, and now Brookline with the inbounds kick. It's sent into Mia Pujols-Braceno. Braceno attempted centering kick, deflected, being chased after by a couple players, and Natick ultimately kicks it out, but right to Hope Leshley. Leshley controlling it now, sends a pass out along the near side, looking for Pujols-Braceno. This might be a little long, though, and Pujols-Braceno cannot save it from going out of bounds. So that'll be a goal kick for Natick as we have a substitution for Brookline, first substitution of the game. This is number 15, Liv Ernst, checking in, replacing number 5, Hope Leshley. Allison Jeter lining up for the goal kick for Natick. Jeter boots it into the air, line drive, downed by Ernst, but then chased after by Natick. I believe that was Briar Grady who is sending it along the near side, but only one in the area is Lindsay Mahoney, so she tracks it down easily. Sends a retreating pass back to Talia Thompson. Thompson now passes it over to Caroline Wolf. Wolf sends it back to Thompson. Thompson almost lost the ball inside the box and had to get rid of it desperately. A couple deflections. Brookline is able to maintain control as it goes to Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan sends it ahead to Samantha Friedman. Friedman lost the ball, though. For a second, she's taken it back as she fights through a couple defenders, tries a pass, it gets deflected, chased down by Ernst for a second, but then chased down by Natick, passed ahead and passed out to Grady. Grady now sending a pass ahead to Browning. Browning tries a pass, intercepted by Seifert. Seifert tries to kick it into space, deflected off the foot of Grady, and Grady chases it down, sends a retreating pass back to Hacker, and then another couple of retreating passes. It goes back to Bubonovich, now goes all the way back to Jeter. Jeter sends it out to the near side for Lily Monago. Monago has it and boots it across midfield. Ahead to Zoe Graves. Graves working against Lindsay Mahoney. She turns around, sends a floating pass over to Michaela Henderson. Henderson working against Mila Seifert. She's got the ball down towards the corner. It's kicked out of bounds, and that's going to be off Brookline. So Natick will have the inbounds kick deep in its own end. Or deep in Brookline's end, I should say. Natick might look for a set play into the box off this indirect kick. Kira Hacker lining up to be the kicker. It's rolled in. Hacker boots it into the box, deflected into the air by Mahoney. Ball bounces into the air. Natick tries to make something happen, and they blow the whistle. Possibly offsides, maybe a handball or something. But we have a couple substitutions for Brookline. Hope Leshley immediately checking back into the game. And also joining her is Alex Levy. They replace Melanie Chernin and Sari Frankel. Brookline with the free kick. It goes to Seifert. Seifert is immediately attacked by the Natick defense. It's deflected out of bounds, and I think they said Natick ball. That was a surprise. Some heads-up defense by Michaela Henderson in the opposing end. And now Natick's probably going to set up for another kick into the box. Lily Monago will be rolling it to Kira Hacker. Hacker decides to dribble with it for a second here, almost runs into the official, turns around, kicks a roller into the box. It's tapped out by another Natick player. They try and keep the play going. It's booted back into the box, but kicked away by Brookline, and now Mia Pujols-Braceno sends a kick along the near sideline and out of bounds. Natick will be lining up for another inbounds kick. Monago will be rolling it towards Hacker once again. Monago rolls it to Hacker. Hacker boots it into the air towards the box. Deflected off a couple players, being chased down by Browning, and I think they're going to call the foul on Holly Browning, who was getting a little too physical, battling Mila Seifert for the ball. And so Thompson takes the free kick, taps it over to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney turns around and passes it all the way over to Caroline Wolf on the other side. Wolf turns around, kicks it into space, deflected off a foot, but then tracked down by Natick. They try and pass it in, but it's intercepted by Leshley. Leshley now sends a kick, bounces across midfield, but tracked down by Monago. Monago sends a retreating pass back to Beagle. Beagle passes it back to Monago. Monago turns around, tries to kick, deflected by Ernst, but chased down by a Natick player for a second and then stolen away by Alex Levy, but she lost control of it. It's kicked away by Beagle, kicked into space. Natick going with the possession again. They pass it ahead to Zoe Graves. Graves tries to kick it into space looking for Henderson. She finds Henderson. Henderson turns around, passes it to Campana along the far side. Campana's trying to gain the edge and dribble, and she runs out of space and loses the ball out of bounds. Being pursued on defense there by Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan did a good job keeping up and sealing off the edge there, leaving Campana nowhere to go but out of bounds. Talia Thompson with the goal kick. She kicks it over to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney then kicks it along the near sideline for Seifert. Seifert dribbling with it, centering kick to Hope Leshley. Leshley kicks it back out to Seifert. Seifert dribbling, trying to get around her defender. And it's deflected out of bounds, and it will be off of Michaela Henderson of Natick. So Brookline will have the inbounds kick. Seifert taps it in for Mia Pujols-Braceno. Braceno passes it over to Hope Leshley. Leshley sends it out to the far side to Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan dribbling with it. Sends the pass ahead. Finds Alex Levy. Levy taps it back to Leshley. Leshley boots it into the air across midfield. Now there's a chase for it. Samantha Friedman coming out of nowhere. She's trying to gain the edge. She turns out, shoots, and it's high and wide. So that'll be another goal kick for Natick. I swear, no player on this Brookline team has had more close but no cigar chances than Samantha Friedman. Allison Jeter setting up for the goal kick for Natick. Jeter boots it into the air, working with a bit of a headwind. It goes to Holly Browning. She taps it back. It's then tapped to the outside to Monago. Monago passes it ahead to Browning. Browning dribbling against Hope Leshley. She gets some space, kicks it across midfield. It's deflected into the air and then downed by Natick. Passed ahead looking for Briar Grady, but taken away by Zoe Fagnan. Kicked ahead, then deflected ahead again by Alex Levy, but tracked down by Abby Beagle of Natick. She sends a retreating pass back to Lily Bubonovich. Bubonovich passes it across midfield. It skips away from her target, goes to Mila Seifert. Seifert tries to pass, a couple deflections, chased down by Samantha Friedman. Friedman tapping it out to the far side to Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan passes back to Friedman. Friedman's got plenty of space to work with. Dribbling, directing traffic. She sends a kick across midfield, but it goes right to Lily Monago. Monago trying to dribble around a couple of Brookline players, and eventually she deflects it over to Holly Browning. Browning tries to send a pass into space, but it's kicked away by Zoe Fagnan. Goes across midfield and goes all the way back to Allison Jeter, who steps just out of the box to kick it away. It's downed by Liv Ernst and deflected over to Samantha Friedman. Friedman dribbling towards the center, taps it for Leshley. Leshley cannot chase it down, and it's taken away by Zoe Graves. Graves passes it ahead. They're across midfield. Another kick ahead looking for Michaela Henderson. It's a chase between Henderson and Fagnan. Fagnan gets there first and kicks it out of bounds. Natick's got a sub coming in. This is number 5, Emma Orant. Coming in. And I believe she is replacing she's going to be replacing Emily Bubonovich. Inbounds kick for Natick. Goes to Holly Browning. Browning sends a pass out to the far side, and then it's booted towards the box, but deflected out immediately by Caroline Wolf. Couple deflections more. It winds up with Hope Leshley, but she has it taken away, and now we've got a foul called. I think this is going to be against Brookline. So Natick, maybe 30 yards out from the goal, setting up for an indirect kick. Looks like Holly Browning is going to be rolling it for Kira Hacker, as several players line up in the box. No, it's a direct kick by Hacker, and the wind sends that one high into the air and way over the crossbar. That's going to be a goal kick for Brookline. Still in the first quarter of play, scoreless here in the second game of the Route 9 Cup. It's kicked into Caroline Wolf, then kicked to Zoe Fagnan along the far side. Fagnan sends a pass looking for Alex Levy. Levy dribbles in retreat and sends it back to Fagnan. Fagnan, centering kick for Liv Ernst. Ernst tries to send it ahead, but deflected away and stolen by Natick, but then immediately stolen by Alex Levy, and Samantha Friedman chases it down, passes it back to Fagnan. Fagnan dribbles around one defender, sends a pass ahead to Levy. Levy sends a centering kick looking for Ernst, but it's taken away by Michaela Henderson. Henderson now dribbling with it, trying to get around the defense. It's forced out of bounds, and I think they're going to say that's off Brookline, so another inbounds kick for Natick. Looks like they're going to set up another indirect kick for Hacker towards the box. Rolled in, booted, a slow pass towards the center for Michaela Henderson. Henderson tries to deflect it. It's taken away by Brookline. Passed ahead to Gianna Pentland. Pentland now dribbling with it, heading towards midfield. She boots it across midfield, looking for Alex Levy, a little too far. Chased down by the defense. Passed back to Allison Jeter. Jeter stops it, being chased by Levy, but she gets away from Levy. And Jeter passes it ahead. Natick trying to work the ball upfield. Deflected for a second by Zoe Fagnan, but still controlled by Natick. A couple passes. It goes to Holly Browning towards the center. She's trying to get it across midfield. She boots it into the air. It's going to be a chase for the ball, and it looks like Brookline is just going to let this one go out of bounds. Looks like it'll be an inbounds kick for Brookline deep in their own end. Fagnan taps it in for Samantha Friedman. Friedman passes it to Liv Ernst. Ernst dribbling with it, and that's going to be the whistle for the first quarter. So after one quarter of play here at Skyline Park in Brookline, Massachusetts, the score of Game 2 of the Route 9 Cup is Brookline 0, Natick 0. I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, and I will be back with the second quarter after a quick mute break. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to Skyline Park in Brookline, Massachusetts. My name is Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, bringing you live coverage of this high school girls soccer game, Game 2 of the inaugural Route 9 Cup between Brookline High and Natick High. The score after the first quarter, 0-0. As we head into quarter number 2, with the two teams switching sides. And the main reason I mention the switching of sides, it gets really windy up here in Skyline Park. Last game or so, the wind's sort of been a non-factor, but in this game, definitely going to be a factor. It's blowing from my left to my right, my right to my left rather, very strongly. Actually blew over my entire broadcast setup before the game. That was a scary moment for me. But everything's okie doke on my end, as I'm happy to bring you coverage of this game with the Natick Redhawks in white jerseys now playing from my right with the wind behind them, and the hosting Brookline High Warriors playing from the left. Brookline will start with the ball after Natick started with it in the first quarter. And Alex Levy taps it to Frankel, and we're underway. Frankel sends a pass back to Hope Leshley. Leshley passes it ahead, and it gets passed ahead again to Alex Levy. Passed back to Leshley. Leshley dribbling with it, trying to get around a couple defenders. Has to turn around and send a retreating pass back to Mila Seifert. Pass towards the center to Melanie Chernin, but gets deflected away by Natick, but it goes right back to Seifert. Seifert with a retreating pass back to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney turns, passes it over to Caroline Wolf. Wolf sends the pass over to Zoe Fagnan along the near sideline. Fagnan dribbling, passes it ahead to Samantha Friedman. Friedman now dribbling, gets it across midfield. Directing traffic, tries to dribble, gets deflected away by a Natick defender. Natick was dribbling with it for a second. It gets deflected out of bounds, and it'll stay Natick ball. Chased down and deflected out by Emma Grant after some nice defense by Natick, by Abby Beagle. Now the inbounds kick. It's tapped into Beagle. Kicked ahead to Zoe Graves. Graves taps it back to Henderson. Stolen away by Friedman. Friedman dribbles around one player, passes it back to Fagnan. Fagnan passes ahead to Leslie. Leslie centering kick over to Melanie Chernin. Chernin dribbling across midfield, sends a pass ahead, finds Alex Levy. Levy turns around, sends it back out to Seifert. Seifert with a centering pass back to Chernin. Chernin has it taken away by the Natick defense. Pass out to Emma Grant. Emma Grant dribbling along the near side, sending a pass ahead, looking for Zoe Graves. Looks like it's going to find her, and no offsides call. Graves working along the back end against Zoe Fagnan, and the ball goes out of bounds, and I think they're going to say it's off Brookline, so that's going to be our first corner kick of the game, and it's going to go to the Redhawks. Once again, the second time these two teams have played, and the last time they played, the one goal came on a free kick by Kira Hacker, who's now setting up for this corner kick. It was deflected in by a Brookline defender. We'll see what happens here. It's rolled in, booted into the air by Hacker, going into the box. A couple deflections still in the box, and a Natick foot sends it towards the goal, but well wide. Now being kicked out by Brookline, trying to clear it. It goes back and booted towards the box and picked up by Talia Thompson. That was a kick back in by Briar Grady. That looked like it might have been a little dangerous, but Talia Thompson snagged it quite easily. Brookline now working with it. This is Maddie Moore taking it along the far side. Finally ran into a wall and it gets deflected back. And it looks like it's going to be either a foul call or an out-of-bounds call. As Seifert taps it in for Moore. Moore dribbles with it, tries centering pass. It's intercepted by Natick. Natick now dribbling with it. Pass ahead to Graves. Graves tries a centering kick looking for Henderson, but instead it's taken away by Chernin. Chernin with a pass out to Fagnan. Fagnan now dribbling with it, dribbling against Grant. Almost has it taken away as Henderson came over to help, but the pass got away to Hope Leslie. Leslie dribbles across midfield, sends a pass ahead, goes wide, and is deflected away by Natick. Natick trying to clear it, but they lose track of it. It's deflected away by Chernin, deflected ahead to Alex Levy. Levy passes to Sari Frankel. Frankel dribbles with it, tries to send a pass over to Samantha Friedman, but doesn't find its mark. Taken away for a second by Natick, but then Friedman chases it down and takes it away herself. Passes back to Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan now again dribbling against Grant, sends a pass ahead to Levy, passes it back to Friedman. Friedman trying to work around number 7, Lagan. A centering pass to Melanie Chernin. Chernin dribbling with it, passes ahead for Frankel. Dangerous deflection. They lose track of it, almost taken away by Henderson, but they fought to get the ball back. It's passed back to Frankel. Frankel now dribbling around midfield, passes it back to Fagnan. Fagnan dribbles back up, sends it ahead to Samantha Friedman. Friedman trying to dribble away from her defender, and it's deflected out, and they're going to say it was off of Friedman. Nice defense by Lagan. Or no, they're going to say it's Brookline ball. They're going to say it was a foul on Lagan. So subs can't come in because it's not an out-of-bounds call, it's a foul call. And now Brookline setting up for the indirect kick. Or I think they're saying it's direct, or no, it's indirect as Friedman passes it back to Fagnan. Fagnan with a centering kick over to Chernin. Chernin turns around, sends it out to the far side. It's chased down by Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney passes it along the far side to Seifert. Seifert passes it for Alex Levy. Levy trying to send a through pass for Maddie Moore. Maddie Moore now dribbling. She might have the edge. Try and turn around, but her defender caught up to her. Nice defense by Natick as they boot it back out, but it goes right to Mila Seifert. Seifert with the centering kick to Hope Leslie. Leslie trying to dribble around Henderson, having a little bit of struggle, but manages to turn around and get the pass away to Melanie Chernin. Chernin passing it out to Fagnan. Fagnan now dribbling, gets around Grant, passes it to Chernin. Chernin tries to pass it through traffic, deflected, chased down for a second by Levy, but her kick is deflected, and it goes back to Natick. It's passed out to the far end. Trying to chase it down. They try to keep it in bounds, but instead it goes right to Seifert. Seifert passes it ahead to Moore. Moore has it deflected away from her, and now Natick controlling it. They pass it over to Holly Browning. Pass it along to Grant. Grant dribbles across midfield, looking for some space to work. Passes it out to Zoe Graves. Graves chasing the ball down. One-on-one against Caroline Wolf. Can't get around, but she passes it out to Holly Browning. Browning now dribbling. Has the ball deflected away from her by Wolf, and then Wolf chases her down. The ball gets away from her, and it's kicked out by Fagnan into the air. A couple deflections. Samantha Friedman keeps it inbounds and boots it high into the air. A couple players trying to down it as it keeps bouncing, and it looks like it's Lagan who's going to take it. Pass it back to Beagle. Beagle with a centering kick. And then an attempted insert kick is deflected by Chernin, and it goes back out to Lagan. Lagan passes it back to Beagle once again. Beagle sending it out to the far end for Lily Monago. Monago turns around, tries to kick, deflected by Maddie Moore. Instead, a centering pass for Briar Grady. Grady turns around, working against Hope Leshley. Fakes her out, gets some space to work, dribbles across midfield, sends a pass out to the far side. She's got a player. This one's now dribbling with it. I believe that is Campana. Eliza Campana sends the pass out to Emma Grant. Grant now in the box, but ran out of room. Tried to turn around and kick, but chased down by the defense. That was Melanie Chernin on the deflection as it went out to Fagnan. Now the shot off the crossbar. Lindsay Mahoney tracks it down and kicks it out of the box. That's going to go out of bounds. The Brookline defense putting in work, but it got deflected out to a Natick player who launched a high shot. Talia Thompson had it well tracked, and I'm not sure if there's any space they could have put that in the net that wouldn't have been high and off the bar. So Natick now working with the inbounds kick deep in the Brookline end. They're probably setting up for another set play with Hacker. Hacker boots it into the box, deflected into the air, and out of bounds. I think they're going to say that's off Natick, and so that'll be a goal kick for Brookline's Talia Thompson. Thompson setting up for the goal kick. She taps it over to Caroline Wolf. Wolf sends it ahead for Melanie Chernin. Chernin working against Holly Browning. She passes it back to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney dribbling with it. Passes it ahead for Alex Levy. Levy turns around. Gets herself some space. Centering pass to Melanie Chernin. Chernin has it. Kicks it ahead looking for Friedman, but misses the mark, and it's deflected into the air by, I believe, Lagan. Deflected ahead, looking for Emma Grant, but chased down by Zoe Fagnan instead. Fagnan chases it down, passes it back to Caroline Wolf. Wolf boots it into the air. It's going to be fought after by a couple of players. It's ultimately downed by Holly Browning. Browning, centering pass for Grady. Grady passes it back to Hacker. Hacker boots it into the air. Across midfield, it's being chased down by Natick. I believe that was Campana. It gets deflected off a couple players, goes back to Monago. Pass to Grady. Pass ahead. I believe they were looking for number 14, Molly Grant. Another couple of passes. Bit of a scrum for the ball. Now it's tracked down by Hope Leshley. Passed back to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney dribbling, passes it ahead to Leshley. Leshley dribbling with some space to work. Passes it to Melanie Chernin. Now Melanie Chernин's bringing it across midfield. Sends a pass ahead looking for Friedman. Finds Friedman. Samantha Friedman dribbling against Abby Beagle, trying to gain the edge. She sends a centering kick, but it rolls harmlessly into the hands of Allison Jeter. No one there for the centering kick. All Friedman could do was slowly roll it into the arms of Jeter, who now boots it into the air, deflected off the foot of Chernin, but it goes right to, I believe, Briar Grady. Passed ahead to Emma Grant. Grant now dribbling towards the center. Kicks it across midfield ahead straight to Lindsay Mahoney. So Mahoney takes it back for Brookline. Passes it back to Talia Thompson. Thompson looking for the right place to kick. Still looking. Eventually decides to just tap it over to her left to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney now dribbling with some space. Sends a pass ahead to Alex Levy. Levy tries to turn around and pass it, but it's taken away by Browning. Browning's pass is deflected, but ultimately chased down by Molly Grant. Grant sending a pass deep down the far end. And a nice screen by Mila Seifert lets the ball just roll out of bounds, and it turns into a goal kick for Brookline. Thompson winds up, boots it into the air, deflects off the foot of Levy for a second, but then chased down by Lily Monago and kicked into space. But it's deflected by Seifert towards Hope Leshley. Leshley now dribbling with it. Sends a kick towards midfield. It goes right to Abby Beagle. Beagle passes it ahead to Browning. Holly Browning now dribbling with it against Melanie Chernin. Tries to kick, deflected by Chernin, and taken away by Chernin as she chases it down. Passes back to Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan gets around one defender, trying to find some space to work. Tries to tap it ahead for Friedman, but it's chased down. Deflected into the air by both Friedman and Emma Grant. And after a scrum for the ball, it's ultimately taken by Friedman, passed to Hope Leshley. Leshley now dribbling with it. Sends the pass ahead for Alex Levy. Levy sends the pass for Melanie Chernin. Chernin had to stop and pull back for a second to chase that down. Now dribbling across midfield. She taps it over to Leshley. Leshley dribbling with it. Brookline working with against the headwind here. Passed back to Mila Seifert. Seifert dribbling along the far side. Passes it out for Maddie Moore. Moore trying to work around a couple players. And I think they called a foul. I think that's going to be against Natick. So it'll be an indirect kick for Brookline. They set up for Moore to boot it. She boots it down into the Natick end. It's deflected by Beagle, and I think they're going to call another foul, this time on Beagle, as she collided hard with Alex Levy. And this is going to be a nice chance for Brookline. Maybe about 20 yards out from the goal, just outside of the penalty box. They're going to be setting up for an indirect kick. This is going to be a dangerous chance for the Warriors. Not sure whether it's direct or indirect. They might be calling this a direct kick because Hope Leshley is lining up by herself. Player is lining up along the border of the box. Leshley charges, kicks. This one's going to fly high over the bar. That wind, again, providing some weird spin on the ball, even if it's a headwind. And we've got two substitutions coming in for Brookline. This is number 1, Ansley Washburn, and number 13, Gianna Pentland, replacing number 2, Melanie Chernin, and number 28, Alex Levy. We got a goal kick for Allison Jeter, and she boots it into space, gets it to Holly Browning. Browning downs it, tries to send a pass, but it's easily taken away by Washburn. Washburn tries a pass, but it gets intercepted. Passed ahead to Zoe Graves, now passed out to Briar Grady. Grady trying to send one down the line, looking for Emma Grant. It's a chase between Grant and Fagnan. They still can't get it, but it looks like Grant's got the edge. Centering kick to nobody. Nobody could keep up with that. And now it's deflected out of bounds by Natick, and it'll be a goal kick. Bit of a dangerous chance there, but that can be the trouble with the speedsters along the edge. Even if they gain the edge, if their teammates don't keep up with them, there's no one to send the centering pass to. Brookline's certainly run into that more than once, with players like Samantha Friedman bringing it down the edge, as the goal kick is passed to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney sends it ahead for Sari Frankel. Frankel sends it back to Seifert. Seifert dribbles, stops, turns around, sends it back to Mahoney. Mahoney now dribbling with it. Got some space to work. Kicks it ahead. It's deflected by Natick. I believe that was Kira Hacker who deflected it into space. A scrum for the ball. It gets deflected out. Goes right back to Holly Browning. Browning with a shot. Easy bounce grab by Talia Thompson. Thompson now holding it in her arms, trying to figure out where to send it. She rolls it over to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney passes it along the far end to Seifert. Seifert sends a pass into space for Gianna Pentland. Pentland dribbling with it. Centering pass to Leshley. Leshley tries to get around Browning with a spin move. She gets a little bit of space and passes it out to the near side over to Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan sends the kick ahead looking for Friedman. Deflected away though, and it goes to Natick. They lose the ball out of bounds, and that's going to be off of Natick. Brookline will have the inbounds kick. Fagnan taps it in for Friedman. Friedman passes it ahead for Frankel. Frankel looked like she might have some space, but it's kicked away by Lagan. Goes back to Hacker. Hacker boots it into the air after a couple of bounces. It's a battle for the ball, but ultimately kicked away by Emma Grant ahead to Zoe Graves. Graves with the centering kick. And then it's passed back out to, I believe, Briar Grady. Grady tries to send a pass along the near side looking for Emma Grant, but it is lost out of bounds. Looks like we've got a substitution for Natick, and I think it might be an injury substitution. Michaela Henderson coming in for Zoe Graves. Inbounds kick for Brookline, goes to Friedman, then to Washburn, then pass back to Zoe Fagnan. She has to turn around and chase that one a bit. She passes it over to Wolf. Wolf tries to kick it ahead, but it goes right to Holly Browning, deflected over to Emma Grant. Grant tried to dribble with it, deflected away by Friedman, goes to Washburn, passed back to Fagnan. Fagnan kicks it into space, but tracked down by Beagle. Passed back to Grady, passed ahead to Browning, who then tried to kick it ahead for Henderson. She lost track of it. It went back to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney kicks it ahead for Hope Leshley. Now Leshley dribbling with it, passes ahead to Sari Frankel. Frankel dribbling across midfield rather, sends a long pass ahead, looking for Samantha Friedman. Friedman's got it. She's got the edge, tries to kick, deflected. Well played by the Natick defense. Friedman tracks down again, sends a pass for Sari Frankel. Frankel with the shot! Oh no, that went over the bar and bounced off the high side of the net. For a brief second, I thought Brookline had a goal, but no one was cheering, so I wasn't sure. But it went over the bar, bounced off the top of the net and out of bounds. That is tough. Apparently, I wasn't the only one who thought it went in. Both coaches are talking to each other like, I thought that went in, or I thought that was called a goal, but it's just going to be a goal kick. Allison Jeter kicks it into the air, into space. Bit of a scrum for the ball. Won by Natick. Sent the pass out to the near sideline. They managed to keep it in bounds and send the pass ahead to Michaela Henderson, but she's being chased after by Caroline Wolf, and Wolf manages to deflect it out of bounds. So it'll be an inbounds kick now for Natick. As they try and make the quick turnaround onto the offensive side after that dangerous chance for Brookline. It'll be an indirect kick deep in the Brookline end. It looks like they're lining up for Kira Hacker to have another kick into the box off the indirect kick. Indeed they do. Hacker kicks it into the box, and it's immediately deflected out by Hope Leshley. And that's going to set up a corner kick as it goes out the back end. So they line up for Kira Hacker to kick it into the box once again off the corner kick. And we've got a whistle as they tried to get the play started, but I think maybe they didn't do it after the right number of whistles or something. So they're going to try it again. There's the whistle. Hacker boots it into the box. It deflects off a couple bodies. Winds up at the foot of a Natick player, kicked, and it's wide and out of bounds. Oh, are they going to say that went off the foot of a Brookline player?
Turn your bodies blue, turn!
I honestly thought that was kicked out by Natick, but it looks like it's going to be another corner kick. So here we go, another try. Hacker into the box, deflected out. I think that was either Leshley or Fagnan again. I think it was Leshley. And now a chase for the ball, and I think they're going to call a foul on Brookline, so Natick's going to get another indirect kick. As Sari Frankel got a little too aggressive chasing after the ball, ended up going through a player. And so that's going to be another indirect kick for Natick. The Brookline defense needs to clear this ball out. Far too many dangerous chances. And it looks like it'll be a different player making the indirect kick for Natick. Ball goes into the box and sails over everything and out of bounds. This will be a goal kick for Brookline as they make a substitution. Number 21, Kellen McNamara, checking into the game. It looks like she's replacing Samantha Friedman. Talia Thompson kicks it over to Caroline Wolf. Wolf sends the pass ahead for Ansley Washburn. Washburn sends the pass out to Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan dribbles around one player, now passes back to Washburn. Washburn dribbling with it, loses it. It goes to Michaela Henderson. And that's going to be the whistle for the end of the second quarter. So as we head into halftime, our score here at Skyline Park in Brookline, Massachusetts, the hosting Brookline High Warriors 0, the visiting Natick High Redhawks 0. I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan coming to you live from Game 2 of the Route 9 Cup. And if you like listening to my broadcasts, you want to support what I do financially, you can head on over to paypal.me/jgms88 and make a donation there. Nothing mandatory. I'm going to keep doing this either way, but like I said, if you want to send me some financial support, you can head over to paypal.me/jgms88. Once again, the score: Brookline 0, Natick 0 at halftime, and I'll be back after a mute break. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to Skyline Park in Brookline, Massachusetts. My name is Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, here bringing you live coverage of the second game of the Route 9 Cup, this high school girls soccer matchup between the hosting Brookline High Warriors and the visiting Natick High Redhawks. We are currently scoreless in this one as we head into the third quarter of play. Brookline in blue jerseys once again playing from my right, while Natick in white jerseys playing from my left. Natick will start with the ball to start the second half. The wind has played a not insignificant factor as it's been gusting hard from time to time, blowing from my right to my left, so Brookline with the wind behind them, presumably for this half, as we get ready to get this quarter underway. Natick passes it back, and here we go. Booted into the air, I believe that's Kira Hacker who sent it across midfield, deep into the Brookline end, chased down by Mila Seifert, and kicked out of bounds. She was being chased by number 18, Eliza Campana. So Natick will very quickly have an inbounds kick deep in the Brookline end after the big kick by number 10, Kira Hacker, who will also be setting up to take the kick off this indirect kick, rolled in bounds from Lily Monago. Monago taps it in. Hacker boots it towards the box. This is dangerous. Deflected off one body and then kicked out by Brookline. Now Brookline turning around and getting on the attack. That's Samantha Friedman's passing it up to Sari Frankel. Frankel dribbling with it along the far side. She's being chased down by a defender. That was Lagan, I believe, who was on the defense and deflected it out of bounds, and it was off of Frankel, actually, so Natick will take over. Rolled in for Abby Beagle, who kicks it into space, but Michaela Henderson immediately swarmed by Brookline defenders, and the ball goes out of bounds, and it looks like it's going to go back to Brookline. Fagnan rolls it in for Samantha Friedman. Pass to the center for Melanie Chernin. Chernin chased down from behind. It's deflected away. Goes to Michaela Henderson. Henderson attempted centering pass. Intercepted by Hope Leshley. Kicked back into space. Deflected. Goes over the head of Briar Grady and goes to Gianna Pentland. Pentland, however, has it taken away by Grady and then taken back by Pentland. And Pentland now dribbling with some space. She's across midfield. Tries to send a pass. Deflected by Abby Beagle. Chased down, and now Beagle dribbling with it. She sends the pass across midfield, but to nobody in particular, and it's chased down easily by Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan dribbles around one player, working along the far sideline, runs out of room, and it's taken away by Natick. They're now working down the far side. Got a bit of a dangerous chance here. Centering kick looking for Michaela Henderson. Deflects off her foot, loses track of it for a second. She tries to chase down, but is smothered up by Lindsay Mahoney, who kicks it out of the box. And then it's kicked out of bounds by Caroline Wolf. Inbounds kick is intercepted by Melanie Chernin, sent back and then kicked into space, and it deflects off the hand of Gianna Pentland, and that'll go back to Natick. The wind gusting here in the third quarter as a nearby chair just got blown over. And now it looks like Kira Hacker will have the direct kick for Natick. Lines up, boots it into the air. Towards the box, dangerous here, scrum for the ball, and it's deflected out by a Brookline player, then deflected back in for a second, but kicked out by Mila Seifert, and it goes back to Lily Monago. Centering kick to Briar Grady. Grady kicks it into the box, and this time Talia Thompson tracks it down, scoops it up, and rolls it over to Seifert. Seifert, centering pass for Melanie Chernin. Chernin turns around, sends a pass ahead, wide of Frankel. Kicked away by Hacker, into the air. It's downed by Emma Grant. Emma Grant fights her way around. Hope Leshley sends a pass out to the far sideline, looking for Lagan. Lagan dribbling with it. Gets around one player. Attempted centering pass is intercepted by Melanie Chernin. Chernin now trying to work around Holly Browning. Fakes one way, goes the other. Finds a little bit of space. Centering pass for Leshley. Leshley passes it all the way out to the near side to Seifert. Seifert centering pass back to Leshley. Leshley turns around, sends a retreating pass back to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney passes it across to Wolf. Wolf boots it into the air. Bounces, tracked down by Natick, tapped over to Molly Grant. Grant sends a retreating pass back to Hacker. Hacker turns around, boots a line drive across midfield. Tracked down by Eliza Campana. She's working against Mila Seifert. Dribbling with it. Starts to dribble back towards the center. Centering pass almost deflected away by Frankel. Tracked down by Chernin for a second, but then deflected away and goes to Browning. Browning turns around, shoots right into the arms of Thompson. Easy save. Thompson heaves it back into the field to play towards Sari Frankel. Frankel sends a retreating pass back to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney passes it out to Mila Seifert. Seifert centering pass back to Frankel. Frankel kicks it back to Caroline Wolf. Wolf being chased by Emma Grant for a second, but then Wolf has some space to work with. Pass is elected and intercepted by Grant, but then ripped away from her by Wolf for a second, and then ultimately the ball is lost out of bounds. They're going to say it went off of Emma Grant. Inbounds kick for Brookline. It goes to Samantha Friedman. Dribbles around one player, but then loses control of it, and it goes out of bounds. This will be Natick ball now. Inbounds kick for Natick. Goes back, I believe, again to Kira Hacker. Booted into the air towards the box, deflected back out. Being chased after by a couple players, and then lost out of bounds. I think they're going to say Natick ball again. Set up again for an indirect kick. Lagan rolls it out for Hacker. Hacker boots it into the air. Again towards the box. Deflected into the air, this time by Molly Grant. Dangerous bounce. Grant tracks it down. Passes it over to Holly Browning. She couldn't quite control it, and it's deflected out of the box. Tracked down by Frankel, I believe. Tries to kick it ahead, but it goes back to Hacker. Hacker boots it back towards the box. It's controlled by a Natick player. I think this is Michaela Henderson, who turns around, tries to send a pass through, gets under a bunch of feet, but then kicked back out by Brookline. Now a chase for the loose ball. Lily Monago and Mia Pujols-Braceno were battling for the ball. They're going to say it went out of bounds off of... I'm not sure. I think they're going to say it was off Natick, so it'll be Brookline ball. Mila Seifert taps it in for Pujols-Braceno. Passed ahead to Frankel. Passed back to Seifert. Seifert controlling it. Passed back to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney dribbling with it, being pursued by Henderson. Passes it out to the far end. Gets deflected away and taken away by Natick. Emma Grant is chasing it down in the far corner. Grant tries a kick, deflected by Brookline. Chased down by Friedman. Friedman dribbling with it, passes it into space. She was looking for Pentland, but it gets deflected away by Abby Beagle. Goes into space, and Natick gets control of it. Kicked ahead for Molly Browning. Browning gets around Caroline Wolf, and I'm not sure if that was an offsides or a foul call, but either way, ball's blown dead, and possession's going to go back to Brookline. So a good break for the Warriors there, as that was starting to get dangerous. Thompson taps it for Wolf, who passes it out to the far end for Zoe Fagnan. Centering pass for Melanie Chernin. Now she passes across to Hope Leshley. Leshley dribbles with it for a bit. Rolls it across midfield over to Mia Pujols-Braceno. Tapped back to Mila Seifert. Seifert dribbling with it. Passes it over to Frankel. Frankel now dribbling with it. Dribbling in a bit of retreat, trying to get around a couple defenders. Can't get around both of them. Deflected away. Goes to Eliza Campana. Then over to Molly Grant. Then back, I believe, to Briar Grady. Then ahead to Campana. Campana now trying to work around her defender, Mila Seifert. Gets a bit of an edge. Kicks it into space. Deflected off the foot of Caroline Wolf, and it goes to Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan kicks it into space, and it's taken by Holly Browning. Browning tries to send a pass out to the far end, looking for Lagan. Looks like it's going to be wide and out of bounds. So Brookline will take over possession in their own end. Fagnan taps it in for Samantha Friedman. Friedman passes it back for Fagnan. Fagnan controls it, dribbling with it. Has it deflected away from her. She's trying to chase it down once again. She regains control near the corner, turns around, kicks, taken away by Michaela Henderson. Nice job keeping it in bounds. Attempted centering pass, intercepted, I believe, by Chernin. Kicked into space, another scrum for the ball, one for a second by Natick, but then stolen away out of nowhere by Gianna Pentland. Pentland loses control of the ball, though, and the deflection goes to Holly Browning. Browning dribbling with some space, tries to kick, deflected off of Caroline Wolf, and then booted out by Zoe Fagnan. Downed by Gianna Pentland. She gains control of it, passes it back to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney dribbling with it, passes it across to Caroline Wolf. Wolf dribbling with it now. Still dribbling, passes it along the far end for Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan lost control of it, though, and it goes back to Natick. Pass to Holly Browning. Browning dribbling, passes over to Briar Grady. Grady slowly bringing it up, decides to launch one, and it bounces harmlessly into the hands of Thompson. Brookline needing to clear the ball out of their own end so they can get some attacks going as Thompson decides to just boot it into the air. This might fly too far, and it's going to fly too far. That's going to go past midfield. That breaks some rules that were only implemented this year. That can be one of the tough things about playing with the wind behind you, is you run this risk. So a free kick for Natick. It's tapped back to Abby Beagle, then passed over to Lily Monago. Monago passes it over to Briar Grady. Grady sends it back to Kira Hacker. Hacker dribbles it across midfield, boots it into space, deflected, but chased down by Grady. Grady passes it back to Hacker, now back to Beagle. Abby Beagle dribbles and sends it back to Allison Jeter. Jeter passes it over to Hacker. Hacker tries to pass it, intercepted. This is Melanie Chernin. Chernin passes it ahead to Gianna Pentland. Pentland couldn't keep control of it. It's taken away by Beagle and booted across midfield, being chased down by Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan gains control of it, sends the pass back to Caroline Wolf. Wolf now dribbling with it, passes it back to Talia Thompson. Thompson passes over to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney with some space to work as she tries to get this clear play working. Passes towards the center to Hope Leshley. Leshley dribbling with it, boots it across midfield, and now we got a foot race for it. We got a foot race, and I think this is going to be Samantha Friedman chasing it down if she can get to it. She can't get to it in time. It rolls out of bounds. We got 3 subs coming in for Brookline after this out of bounds. Number 15, Liv Ernst. Number 21, Kellen McNamara. And number 28, Alex Levy. Coming in, replacing number 2, Melanie Chernin. Number 13, Gianna Pentland. And number 19, Samantha Friedman. Inbounds kick for Natick. Booted into the air. It's downed by Ernst. But Ernst lost it. It's taken away. Pass towards the center. Another scrum for the ball, but won by Natick. I believe this is Briar Grady, who boots it across midfield. Skips away from Wolf for a second, but she manages to chase it down and pass it out to Fagnan. Fagnan passes to Ernst. Ernst gains control of it, kicks it across midfield, and it looks like that's going to go out of bounds again. So it'll be Natick ball once again. Still scoreless here in the third quarter.
Bill, if we have to, Bill.
So an inbounds kick for Natick. Booted into the air by Hacker towards midfield. Kicked into the air by Browning. And that's going to go out of bounds, and that'll be Brookline ball. Game 2 of the inaugural Route 9 Cup out here at Skyline Park. Scoreless in the third quarter as Brookline sets up for an inbounds kick just inside their own end. Fagnan taps it back, booted into the air, deflected by Grady and kicked away, deflected by Ernst, and that goes over, I believe, to Frankel. Passed back to Mahoney. Mahoney now dribbling with it, sends a pass out to Seifert along the near side. Seifert with a pass towards the center for Alex Levy. Levy kicks it downfield, but it's going to be chased down by Abby Beagle and kicked back to Allison Jeter. Jeter boots it into the air and into space, but too much space, and it bounces out of bounds. So it'll be Brookline ball now in the Natick end as they line up for another inbounds kick. Sent back to McNamara. McNamara kicks it Ahead for Sari Frankel. Frankel trying to dribble away from the defenders, trying to find some space. Pass back to Hope Leshley. Leshley now trying to dribble ahead. Runs into a wall in Molly Grant. Grant passes it ahead to Michaela Henderson. Now passed back to Grady, but she slipped and lost the ball. Taken away by Liv Ernst, but Liv Ernst couldn't keep up with the ball and lost it. Taken away by Natick. Passed ahead to Eliza Campana. Campana turns around, sends a kick across midfield, but it's kicked back by Caroline Wolf, and again that goes wide, and the wind's going to carry that one out of bounds. We got a substitution for Natick. This is going to be number 26, Emma Tavilla, coming in for Natick as they get ready for the inbounds kick. Booted into the air across midfield. Battle for the ball now. Taken for a second by Kellen McNamara, and then she got sandwiched between Michaela Henderson and Lagan. And that's going to be a foul call against Natick. So Brookline will have the free kick. Zoe Fagnan kicks it back to Caroline Wolf. Wolf sends it across to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney's got it. Turns around, kicks it back to Wolf. Wolf passes it back to Fagnan. Fagnan sends it across midfield. Head to, I believe, McNamara, who then passes it to Frankel. Frankel now dribbling with it, sends it back out to McNamara. McNamara's got it. Sends a kick into the box and wide of everybody and out of bounds. That's going to be a goal kick. Might have been looking for Alex Levy or Mia Pujols-Briseno, but too wide, traveled too fast, and it's out of bounds. This will be a goal kick for Natick. Allison Jeter winding up for the goal kick. Jeter boots it into the air. Goes to Molly Grant. Grant sends it ahead for Tavilla. Tavilla kicks it ahead, and the Natick player slid and lost the ball. I think that was I think that might have been Eliza Campana, who couldn't quite chase it down. That was a bit of confusion for a second there. It seemed like Brookline got the ball back, but now we've got a whistle and a stop. I think they may have called a foul on Natick. So Brookline now with the ball just past midfield, or right at midfield. Looks like an inbounds kick. Goes to Kellen McNamara. McNamara dribbling with it. Tries a centering pass. Misses everyone, but it's kicked away by Molly Grant. It goes to Hope Leshley. Leshley taps it ahead to Alex Levy. Levy trying to fight through about 3 defenders. Can't do it. Kicked away by Molly Grant. Kicked back to Kira Hacker. Kicked across midfield. Deflection. Another deflection. Starting to roll down into the Brookline end, but being chased after by Lindsay Mahoney. She kicks it back to Jutalia Thompson. Thompson turns around, boots it into space, but Emma Grant is the first one there. She takes the ball, fights through one defender, passes it away to Molly Grant, but Molly Grant loses it, taken away by Alex Levy. Attempted pass is deflected and goes back. I believe that's Liv Ernst, who lost the ball, taken away by Emma Grant. Pass back to Davila, then goes back to Monago. Monago passes it back to Kira Hacker, who then kicks it back to Allison Jeter. Jeter now at the ball. She winds up and kicks it ahead to, I believe, Briar Grady. Grady dribbling with it, gets across midfield, passes ahead, off the foot of Henderson, but she tracks it down and maintains control. Attempts a pass across for Campana, but Campana lost control of it, almost taken away by Fagnan, but she has to send a retreating pass. Back out to Davila. Passed out to the near end to Emma Grant. Emma Grant working against Mila Seifert, trying to find the edge. She gets a bit of an edge, but can only kick a slow roller right into the hands of Talia Thompson. Thompson heaves it back into the field of play, looking for Sari Frankel. Frankel downs it, turns around, boots it across midfield, but this one might go too far, and it's going to go out of bounds. So it'll be an inbounds kick for Natick. Kicked in, kicked back to Kira Hacker, and kicked towards the center for Briar Grady. Grady's got some space to work as she brings it across midfield. Pass ahead for Emma Grant. Grant tries to send a pass out, but nobody there, and it's out of bounds. She's trying to collect with Lily Monago. but timing was way off there, and it goes out of bounds. Inbounds kick for Brookline. Seifert to Pujols Braceno, sends ahead to Alex Levy. Levy centering kick for Hope Leshley. Leshley boots it ahead, and it deflects off the hand of Eliza Campana. It's going to be a handball. Brookline will take over with the free kick. So Brookline now lining up for the free kick just inside their own end. Zoe Fagnan and Caroline Wolf lining up. Not sure who's actually going to take the kick. Oh, it's a direct kick, and so Fagnan's going to kick it into the air across midfield. It's deflected, but it goes back to Frankel. Frankel now trying to pass it away, but it gets deflected out and taken away by Natick. This is Eliza Campana dribbling it with speed across midfield, trying to send the pass ahead for Henderson. It goes wide and out of bounds. So Brookline will take over. Still scoreless here in the third quarter of play, 0-0 between Brookline and Natick. Brookline getting ready for the inbounds kick. Zoe Fagnan taps it to Kellen McNamara, tapped back to Fagnan, then tapped back over to McNamara. McNamara starts to dribble with it, boots it across midfield, but right to Kira Hacker, who boots it back to the Brookline end. Goes to Campana for a second, but Fagnan fighting to kick the ball away. Scrum for the ball. Lagan trying to get it back in for Natick, but then Fagnan finds the ball again and boots it across midfield, but out of bounds once again. So it'll be Natick ball once again just inside their own end. Here's the inbounds kick. It goes back to Abby Beagle. Beagle boots it into the air. Goes off the head of Henderson, but goes back to Lindsay Mahoney, and that's going to be the whistle for the end of the third quarter. We are still scoreless here at Skyline Park in Brookline, Massachusetts. Brookline 0, Natick 0. I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, bringing you live coverage of Game 2 of the Route 9 Cup, and I will be back to give you the fourth and final quarter of play after a short mute break. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to Skyline Park in Brookline, Massachusetts. I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, bringing you this high school girls soccer game and second game of the inaugural Route 9 Cup between the hosting Brookline High Warriors and the visiting Natick High Redhawks. We are scoreless so far in this game as we get into the fourth and final quarter of play. Brookline in blue jerseys playing from my left, Natick in white jerseys playing from my right. Brookline to start with the ball. Alex Levy taps it over to Sari Frankel, and we're underway. Frankel sends the pass back to Melanie Chernin. Chernin tries to send the pass ahead for Samantha Friedman. Skips away, well defended by Lily Monago, and it rolls out of bounds. This will be Natick ball.
Listen to that. Make the adjustments on that.
Natick getting ready for the inbounds kick. Monago rolls it for Abby Beagle. Beagle boots it across midfield. Talia, we got a switch in goal for Brookline. That's Juliana Anastopoulos, who boots it back across midfield for a second. A battle for the ball, and now Brookline sends it back into the Natick end. They're chasing after it, but Lagan kicks it away, and Natick trying to clear, running into some traffic. Battle for the ball, and I think they're going to call a foul on someone. I think they're going to call it on Briar Grady as she collided with Hope Leshley. So it looks like it's going to be a indirect kick for Brookline, tapped by Maddie Moore, kicked into the box by Hope Leshley. Dangerous deflection, scrum for the ball, and it's kicked out by Kira Hacker. Chased down by Natick. They're trying to clear it, but it's intercepted, and then a fight through a defender, and it's going to be another foul call on Natick as they got a little too physical defending against Gianna Pentland. So Brookline with some good early chances here in the fourth quarter. One score could make this game. Maddie Moore lining up for the free kick. It looks like this is going to be a direct kick. Except no, they're going to send Sari Frankel out to take this kick. They send several players around the borders of the penalty box. Frankel lining up. Here's the whistle. The kick towards the box. It flies and flies over the net. It's going to be out of bounds, and that's going to be a goal kick for Brookline. So I mentioned the switch in goal earlier. Juliana Anastopoulos replacing Talia Thompson for the fourth and final quarter of play. Really heartwarming to see. Anastopoulos has been absent for almost a month now after suffering a head injury at Newton North, as Jeter takes the goal kick, deflected by Samantha Friedman, but then kicked away by Kira Hacker. Goes into the Brookline end, chased down by Maddie Moore, and deflected out of bounds. This will be an inbounds kick for Natick. Natick getting ready for the inbounds kick. It's tapped in, booted into the air, coming towards the box, but deflected away by Lindsay Mahoney and chased down by Hope Leshley. Leshley launches it over to the Natick end. It's being chased after by a couple players. Lagan wins the race for a second, was being chased by Sari Frankel, and Lagan is forced to kick it out of bounds. Brookline trying to get some attack going in what is currently scheduled as their final home game of the season, as they get set for the inbounds kick in the Natick end. Maddie Moore sends it back. It's wind up and booted towards the box. Headed out by Natick and kicked away for a second, but deflected by Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney's got it. Sends a pass out to the near side to Zoe Fagnan. Fagnan dribbling with it. Runs into a defender, running out of space, but she manages to turn around and escape for a second. Fights her way around, but then has it taken away by the Natick defender and passed away. It got sent ahead to Michaela Henderson. Tapped over for Briar Grady, but being chased after by Leshley. Leshley takes it away, taps it over to Moore, then tapped back to Leshley. Leshley trying to send a pass along the far end, finds her target. I think this is Gianna Pentland dribbling with it. She turns back, sends the pass back to Moore. Moore sends it towards the center. It goes to Alex Levy. Levy sends the pass out for Samantha Friedman. Friedman boots it into the box, and it goes over the bar once again. Brookline showing all kinds of aggression here in the fourth quarter of play. Their final quarter being played of the 2020 season at Skyline Park. They have one more game left on their schedule, but it will be a road game at Needham on Friday afternoon. So this will be their last home game of the season, as Allison Jeter lines up for the free kick. It gets deflected off the foot of Friedman, but goes to Briar Grady. Grady boots it over to the Brookline end. Anastopoulos winds up and boots it high into the air. It looks like this one's going to bounce out of bounds, and it does. So Natick will have the inbounds kick. This is Lily Monago lining up to tap it in for Kira Hacker. Taps it in. Hacker tries the pass, immediately deflected out of bounds by Samantha Friedman. And so Natick will go for take two on this inbounds kick. Once again, it's Monago and Hacker. Monago taps it in. Hacker this time kicks it into space, deflected into the air by Caroline Wolf, being fought for by a couple players, and they're going to call a handball. It went off the hand of Melanie Chernin. And so it'll be a direct kick, I think, for Natick. So Kira Hacker lining up to boot this one towards the box. Hacker winds up, boots it towards the box. Dangerous chance. Bounces off Michaela Henderson. Chased down by Juliana Anastopoulos and scooped up. Anastopoulos winds up, boots it into the air. It's deflected by Briar Grady, then by Melanie Chernin. Bit of a scrum for the ball. It gets sent back to Kira Hacker. Booted into the air towards the Brookline end. Being chased after by Zoe Fagnan and Emma Grant. Fagnan wins the race for now, trying to keep control of the ball. A bit trapped in the corner, but she managed to turn around and pass it for Caroline Wolf, who then kicks it into the air. Another scrum for the ball, and they're going to call a foul on Natick as they got a little too aggressive trying to defend Sari Frankel. That foul is going to be against Abby Beagle. So, indirect kick. It looks like Brookline is going to have Zoe Fagnan tap it to Anastopoulos, the goalie. Anastopoulos kicks it ahead, bounces off the foot of Chernin, but then taken away by Grady. But now Chernin trying to chase her down, and the best she can do is force it out of bounds. can see the different level of aggression from Brookline this quarter as they're pulling their defenders up, they're pulling their goalie up. Whenever they have a chance to go on the attack, they're going for it. Monago getting ready to tap it in for Hacker. Hacker boots it into the air. This one might not stay in bounds, and it does not. So that'll be an inbounds kick for Brookline deep in their own end. Zoe Fagnan gets ready to tap it in. It looks like she's going to tap it in for Samantha Friedman. But no, she sends a kick skipping all the way over to Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos gets around one player, boots it into the air, bounces over a couple of heads, then downed by Abby Beagle, tapped ahead for Lily Monago. Monago gets around her defender for a second and kicks it, but it bounces right into the box and into the hands of Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos chucks it downfield, looking for Chernin. Chernin tries to send a pass back. It's slightly deflected, but Zoe Fagnan chases it down, sends it back to Wolf. Wolf kicks it into the air, deflected off of Monago. Now a bit of a scrum for the ball, being chased down, booted away for a second by Friedman, but then deflected by Grady. It went to Frankel for a second, but I think they're going to call a foul on Friedman as Grady got tripped. So Natick will have another free kick. Kira Hacker winding up for it, directing her teammates as this is going to be a direct kick after the foul call. Hacker boots it into the air towards the box, and nobody else there, so it goes harmlessly into the hands of Anastopoulos. She boots it into the air, deflected by Grady, off the foot of Chernin. Chase for the ball. It's ultimately won by Natick, sent back to Grady. Grady boots it into the air. It's being chased after. I believe that's Emma Grant. Grant gets it, boots it, and it goes over the crossbar. Couldn't quite get good enough control of that, so she couldn't get a good foot on it. It was a dangerous chance, though, for the Redhawks. Brookline now getting ready for the goal kick. Anastopoulos kicks it into the air towards midfield. We got a bounce, now a scrum for the ball. It's booted ahead by Alex Levy. Sari Frankel is chasing after it, but the chase is won by Abby Beagle. She's trying to get it away. She maintains control of it, sends a kick across midfield, but intercepted by Maddie Moore for a second, then taken away by Tavilla. Now passed out to the far end for Emma Grant. Emma Grant dribbling with it, but almost has it. She does have it taken away by Hope Leslie for a second, but then it's deflected out of bounds by Grant. Looks like this will be an inbounds kick for Brookline. It's tapped in. Brookline working along the far end. That's Maddie Moore sending a kick into the air. Tracked down by Lagan. Lagan sends a pass out to the far end. Now booted into the air. I believe that was Tavilla who booted it into the air, and it goes out of bounds. So it'll be Brookline ball once again. Scoreless here in the fourth quarter. Maddie Moore taps it in, and now it's kicked into space. I think that was Pentland who kicks it ahead, finds Sari Frankel. Frankel now trying to dribble, get across midfield, working against Kira Hacker, and Hacker forces Frankel out of bounds. That'll be Natick ball. And we've got a substitution for Natick. This is number 18, Eliza Campana, coming into the game. As Natick gets ready for the inbounds kick, she replaces number 13, Ave Gagnon. It's tapped in. Hacker boots it into the air. Skips past a couple people, now being chased after. And it looks like it's won by Michaela Henderson. Henderson trying to find a chance, but chased after by Maddie Moore. Ball is forced out of bounds, and I think that's going to be a corner kick for Natick. The first time these two teams played out in Natick about a week and a half ago, Natick came away with a 1-0 win. A free kick by Kira Hacker was deflected into the net by a Brookline defender, so Hacker was credited with the goal. Hacker now lining up for the corner kick once again. She's taken several dangerous kicks towards the box. Nothing has gone in the net this time so far. Now they send another kick, and this one gets immediately deflected out of bounds by the Brookline defenders, so they will reset. Tapped in, kicked into the air, deflected by Caroline Wolf, chased down by Wolf, and then kicked out of the box. But that's going to go out of bounds, and it'll be another inbounds kick for Natick. Tapped in, booted towards the box again, deflected out. I think that went off the foot of Chernin. Another scrum for the ball, chased after by Grady, and Wolf has to tap it away, and that's going to go out the back end, and that's going to be another corner kick for Natick. Now another corner kick tapped in, kicked into the air towards the box, down for a second by Grady, but then kicked out by Melanie Chernin. Now after a scrum for the ball, it gets sent back out for Natick, and I think they lost the ball out of bounds this time. So Brookline will have the inbounds kick as they send in a substitution. This is number 15, Liv Ernst, coming in, replacing number 28, Alex Levy. Brookline taps in the inbounds kick, booted into the air, towards space, deflection off of a couple players, bounces all the way back to Lindsay Mahoney. Mahoney boots into the air, bit off the side of her foot though, and that goes out of bounds. That'll be Natick ball. Scoreless here in the fourth quarter of this game. And Natick with the inbounds kick goes to Hacker. Hacker boots it into space. It's deflected out of bounds by Caroline Wolf. Brookline playing on their heels for most of this final quarter, as Natick is probably going to send another, they're going to send another direct kick towards the box, it seems. They line it up for Hacker. Hacker boots it into the box, right into the arms of Anastopoulos, and now Brookline trying to get the attack underway. It's rolled to Sari Frankel. Frankel boots it ahead for Liv Ernst, deflected off her foot. She lost control of it, and it's taken away by Abby Beagle. Beagle boots it into the air, deflected by Maddie Moore. Moore trying to chase after her own deflection. She gets it, gets around a couple of defenders. She's now dribbling with speed along the far sideline. She's got some space to work. Boots a centering kick, finds Chernin, but oh, it bounced off her hand. Oh, that's a tough break there. Brookline was moving with speed down the field, and just as they were getting close, tough bounce off the foot and then off the hand of Melanie Chernin, and it'll be Natick ball now as Allison Jeter lines up for the free kick. Jeter boots it into the air towards midfield, deflected by Maddie Moore, winds up at the foot of Melanie Chernin. Chernin tries to send a pass ahead, intercepted, passed back to Briar Grady. Grady boots it across midfield, deep into the Brookline end, being chased after by Anastopoulos. Anastopoulos downs it, scoops it up with her hands. Now looking around for a good place to go. She drops it, now boots it, line drive towards midfield, skips away from a couple players, now skips away from a couple more, chased down by Natick, and they send a retreating pass all the way back to Allison Jeter. Jeter has to send a pass out to the far end. Natick trying to work along the far end. Ball is booted across midfield, then booted back by Caroline Wolf. Another scrum for the ball. Lagan and Frankel were chasing after it, and I think they're going to call the foul on Frankel. And so that's going to be another free kick for Natick. Lagan getting ready to tap it for a free kick by Kira Hacker. Hacker boots it into the air across midfield. Deflection, and then chased down by Michaela Henderson. Henderson kicks it further down, looking for Emma Grant. Bit of a deflection, but Emma Grant controls it, passes it to Tavilla. Then attempted pass for Grady, rolls away from her. Booted into the air by Fagnan. Being chased after by both Tavilla and Frankel. They call, I think, a foul on Tavilla. A little bit of confusion there for a second, as they seem to keep playing for a sec, but now we've got the indirect kick for Brookline. Looks like Caroline Wolf is going to be tapping it for Anastopoulos. Wolf sends it back. Anastopoulos boots it into the air across midfield. Brookline is sending most of their players across. Bit of a scrum for the ball now. Booted into the air by a Natick player, then booted back by Hope Leshley. Couple deflections, winds up at the feet of Melanie Chernin, passes it out to Liv Ernst. Ernst tries to dribble. Fast defense coming. Oh, Joe, she fell! Liv Ernst had the edge for a second, and it's deflected out of bounds by Abby Beagle. This is going to be a corner kick for Brookline. Brief, dangerous chance there for Liv Ernst, but at the very least she gets a corner kick out of it. And Brookline lining up for what could be their best last chance to get on the scoreboard here. The two teams scoreless here It's the fourth quarter winding down. Of course, we don't have any scoreboard with a game clock here at Skyline Park, so your guess is as good as mine about how much time we exactly have left. Looks like it's going to be Maddie Moore tapping it to Samantha Friedman. Friedman has it, dribbles around one defender, tries to get around another. The ball goes out of bounds, and they're going to say it went off of Friedman. Brookline coach Robert Sprague cannot believe the call, as it's now lining up for a goal kick for Natick. Allison Jeter now lining up. It's booted into the air. Goes to Tavilla, but now Melanie Chernin trying to take it away. Not enough space, though, and it's taken by Natick for a second. Tried to kick, deflected by Ernst, but goes back to another Natick player. Kicked across midfield, and now Natick on the attack. Michaela Henderson chasing it down. She's working against Caroline Wolf. One-on-one, waiting for the rest of her teammates to come, holding onto the ball, trying to dribble around, but gets stolen away by Caroline Wolf. Wolf boots it across midfield. Goes right to Abby Beagle, though. Beagle tries to kick it, deflected by Friedman. She recollects it, passes it to Kira Hacker. Hacker sends it out to Lily Monago. Monago dribbling with it, sends a pass through, but it skips away from everybody and goes right to Anastopoulos. Now Brookline setting up to go on the attack again. Anastopoulos kicks it, downed by Tavilla. Tavilla dribbling with it, being chased by Chernin. Tries to send a pass away, but it goes right to Zoe Fagnan, and Fagnan boots it into the air and out of bounds. Natick will have the inbounds kick in the Brookline end. Lily Monago lining up to roll it in for Kira Hacker. Monago rolls it in. Hacker sends a pass down the line. Finds Emma Grant for a second and then deflected out of bounds by Zoe Fagnan.
3 players over there, 3. Sarah, you stay there. Mel, go. Mel, go.
Monago getting ready to roll it in once again for Hacker.
Gianna, let it
Pretty
go.
deep in the Brookline end. This could turn into a kick towards the box.
Stay right there. Gianna in the middle there.
It's rolled in. Hacker decides to dribble with it this time. Dribbling towards the back end, trying to send a kick, and she sends a kick that goes off of Ernst and out of bounds. Strategic play there by Natick as they draw another corner kick. Natick having won the last matchup, I imagine they take the Route 9 Cup with a tie in this game. As they line up for the corner kick now late in the fourth quarter of this scoreless game. Rolled in for Hacker. Hacker just stutter stepping with it, just holding it. Now she winds up and boots it towards the box. It's deflected off a foot and out of the box, but that's going to be the final whistle. So after the fourth and final quarter of play, our final score, Brookline 0, Natick 0. So after 2 games, we have 1 win for Natick and 1 scoreless tie. Total difference of 1 goal to nothing between the 2 matchups. And so Brookline head coach Robert Sprague presents the inaugural Route 9 Cup to the Natick head coach.
Tomorrow, right? I know. And we have nothing left. You guys.
And so that'll do it for the game here at Skyline Park. As I said, Brookline's got 1 last game left on the docket as their record changes to 2-3-4 on the season. They have 1 game left. It's going to be on the road Friday afternoon at Needham. I plan on being there. I hope you guys plan on listening in for the last game of what has been a wild season for sure. I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan. If you like my broadcasts, want to support me financially, you can head over to paypal.me/jgms88 and make a donation. No obligation to do so, but just so the information's out there. paypal.me/jgms88. Final score, Brookline 0, Natick 0. Natick takes the inaugural Route 9 Cup after their earlier 1-0 win over the Warriors. And for the last time today, I am Jesse Mayfield-Sheehan, signing off.